Defining key performance metrics is an essential component of effective project portfolio management. It requires strategic planning, clear objectives, and a focus on measurable outcomes to drive success. In this video, we focus on key performance metrics for project portfolios. We cover how to establish effective key performance indicators, KPIs for short, and review strategic approaches to interpreting what they could mean to different stakeholders in your organization. Before we begin, note that some of the examples that we'll be covering require customizing TaskRay metadata and creating custom fields. While we won't be looking at the technical specifics for these customizations, connect with your internal Salesforce admin and refer to our support site if you would like to set up such fields. To start, let's do a brief overview of the sample use case we'll be following throughout the video. Imagine you are the manager of the customer onboarding team at a software company. Your team is responsible for managing the onboarding process for every new customer, ensuring that customers are supported in implementing and using your company's product. Customer onboarding is a repeatable process managed within TaskRay. As the team manager, you are responsible for overseeing the customer onboarding project portfolio and reporting on key performance metrics. Ultimately, your goals with reporting are to monitor trends, uncover actionable insights to optimize processes, and communicate impactful metrics that drive decision-making across the organization. With that in mind, let's talk about some general strategies for setting impactful KPIs. At the core, KPIs should be meaningful and representative of your team process and objectives. For customer onboarding, measuring the duration of onboarding projects, time to go live, and customer sentiment could be good starting points. The strategy here is to focus on what matters most to your process. Step back from granular details and prioritize broader insights that measure overall process performance. The next general strategy is that KPIs need to be aligned with the goals of your organization. After all, customer onboarding is one of many pieces of the larger customer journey. This means that your KPIs need to be cross-functionally coordinated and meaningful to other team leaders within the organization. For example, the pre-sale teams should have insight into the onboarding pipeline to set clear expectations with prospects. Meanwhile, the customer success team needs to know when customers approach the end of the onboarding stage to effectively support them through the transition. Taking all of this into account, let's review some examples of common KPIs for customer onboarding project portfolios. For our first example, we'll explore the time to value metric as it applies to customer onboarding. In simplest terms, time to value is defined as the amount of time it takes to realize the worth of an investment in a product or service. For customers, this is the time when they are looking to get up and running with the new tool, an investment, as soon as possible. The sooner they can use the tool, the sooner they can start realizing the value of their investment. For the customer onboarding team, the process is all about efficiency, ensuring that customers can go live with the new tool as soon as possible and that key business requirements are met. Fundamentally, both parties are driven to reach desired outcomes as soon as possible. The shorter the time to value, the better. While various unique factors could be tied into this metric, a simple way to measure it in TaskRay is to look at the average duration of the customer onboarding project portfolio. Once the average duration for the project portfolio is known, the next step is to establish a framework for using the metric to measure performance. This is where having a benchmark becomes important. Think of the benchmark as the North Star. It is the goal for where the metric should stand. The benchmark could be based on past data, company goals, or even industry standards. Once the benchmark is defined, it can be compared to portfolio actuals to determine if things are staying on track. For example, let's assume that our time to value benchmark to complete onboarding is 30 days. If we find that the average duration of our onboarding portfolio is more than 30 days, that could signal that we're trending behind our set goal. On the other hand, if our average duration is less than 30 days, that could be interpreted as a positive trend. Moving along, another example of a KPI for customer onboarding is the onboarding pipeline. For simplicity, we'll measure the pipeline based on the volume of projects, including the number of new projects, projects currently in flight, and completed projects. Typically, this is measured over set timeframes, such as month-over-month or quarterly. These metrics are easy to track using project record count and out-of-the-box fields including start, estimated end date, and completed. For these metrics, you can start by determining averages over set timeframes, such as the average number of new and in-flight projects month over month. As you gather this data over time, you will gain actionable insights to proactively plan resourcing needs for the team and set clear expectations with other departments. Speaking of other departments, let's expand on a couple of correlations between onboarding and related portions of the customer journey. Starting with the pre-sale stage, there is typically a natural correlation between the number of new customers and the demand, or number, of onboarding projects needed to support new customers. By looking at the new business funnel, we can infer what the demand for onboarding could be and proactively plan team resources. On the other end, the onboarding funnel provides insight into what the customer success team can expect. The customer success team can monitor how many onboarding projects are in flight and nearing completion. Such insights allow proactively planning resourcing needs for the customer success team to support customers transitioning out of onboarding. The last KPI example that we'll review is customer sentiment. Whether you plan on leveraging TaskRay's feedback forms, using a survey or forms integration like FormStack, or following some other approach for gathering feedback, customer sentiment is a great way to evaluate the performance of the onboarding process. Incorporating qualitative metrics like customer sentiment into the reporting framework adds color to quantitative data and provides a more comprehensive view for performance monitoring. For example, let's say we were looking at the last few months' time to value metrics for the customer onboarding project portfolio and seeing that the metric is decreasing month over month. On the surface, this might seem like a positive change, signaling that customers are getting onboarded quicker and going live with the purchased product sooner. Now let's add customer sentiment into the mix. Depending on where this metric stands, the big picture could look different. If the customer sentiment is positive, that paints a positive picture all around. Not only is our time to value metric decreasing and we are getting quicker at delivering value, the customers are happy with the process too. On the contrary, if the customer sentiment is negative, then that could be a sign that the onboarding process is rushed or steps are being skipped. In other words, even though we are fast at executing the process, the customer experience is compromised. As you can see, analyzing metrics in isolation might not give you the most accurate measurement of how the process is performing. However, looking at multiple KPIs together reveals deeper and more meaningful insights. Moving along, let's talk about another aspect that makes KPIs even more impactful, which is segmentation. Segmenting project data by relevant attributes helps reveal more accurate insights, highlight relevant patterns, and enable more targeted decision-making. For our first example, let's assume that your organization's customers range in company size. To keep the data organized, customers are categorized into enterprise, mid-market, and SMB groups. This categorization helps uncover unique traits that can be attributed to the size of an organization, such as complexity in internal processes or difference in roles and responsibilities. As you might have assumed, the company size can also directly influence the onboarding process, including how it is managed, who is involved, the complexity of business requirements, and even how long certain tasks take to complete. In summary, segmenting the onboarding project portfolio by customer company size can reveal more specific and relevant insights for each customer group. Another approach to categorize onboarding projects is by customer industry. Similar to unique attributes relevant to customer size, the customer's industry could also introduce some factors that could influence the onboarding process. For example, a business organization in the finance industry likely has different internal processes and requirements for onboarding compared to organizations in the healthcare space. By segmenting the project portfolio by customer industry, you can review targeted trends relevant to specific customer industries. As you can see, strategically defined KPIs are critical to effective portfolio management. Ultimately, it is important that your KPIs are meaningful to your process and aligned with larger organizational goals and objectives. In this video, we reviewed some examples of impactful KPIs and walked through approaches to interpreting them to uncover insights. Next, we'll explore available tools in TaskRay and Salesforce to visualize such metrics. See you there!